Su, AMD's CEO, just laid out a vision that challenges the status quo and promises to disrupt the tech landscape for years to come. As giants battle for AI dominance, AMD is stepping into the spotlight with bold plans, cutting-edge chips, and partnerships that could redefine how machines learn and operate. The future is unfolding faster than anyone predicted. Revenue beats expectations, but EPS misses slightly. Advanced Micro Devices' second quarter results delivered a revenue figure that surpassed Wall Street expectations, coming in at $7.69 billion compared to analyst estimates of $7.42 billion. This represented a strong year-over-year improvement, with revenue growth supported by higher demand across AMD's computing and AI product lines. However, adjusted earnings per share came in at $0.48, missing consensus expectations of $0.49 by a narrow margin. The results created a split reaction among investors. On the one hand, AMD demonstrated a healthy growth trajectory, especially in revenue, and gave a stronger than expected third quarter forecast. On the other hand, the earnings per share miss, albeit small, raised questions about profitability in the face of heavy investment in AI chip development and competitive pricing pressures from rivals like Nvidia. Shares initially reacted positively to the revenue beat, rising in after-hours trading immediately after the announcement, but sentiment quickly shifted. By the next morning, AMD's stock was down more than 4% in pre-market trading, falling to around $164.99 as investors digested the mixed nature of the report. Strong Q3 outlook surprises analysts. While the second quarter EPS misdrew attention, AMD's guidance for the third quarter quickly became the centerpiece of discussion. The company projected revenue between $8.4 billion and $9 billion, with the midpoint of $8.7 billion comfortably ahead of analyst expectations of $8.3 billion. This guidance reflects confidence in AMD's ability to accelerate growth in the latter half of the year, driven largely by the expanding AI market and continued strength in computing solutions. AMD CEO Su expressed optimism during the earnings call, noting that demand for the company's products across both computing and AI segments remains robust. She stressed that the company is well positioned to deliver significant growth in the second half of the year, highlighting AMD's ongoing product rollouts and strategic positioning in the AI hardware race. The market reaction to this forecast was nuanced. While a revenue beat and a bullish outlook are typically catalysts for stock appreciation, the fact that AMD shares had already gained more than 40% year to date and an impressive 73% over the last 3 months meant that expectations were already high. Investors wanted signs of accelerated momentum beyond what was already priced in, and the EPS miss gave them reason for caution. Data center performance under scrutiny. A major focus for analysts and investors was AMD's performance in its data center segment, which includes its lucrative AI chip business. In the second quarter, data center revenue rose to $3.2 billion, marking a 14% year-over-year increase from $2.8 billion in the same period last year. This growth was encouraging but also underscored the gap between AMD and Nvidia in this space. For comparison, Nvidia reported $39.11 billion in data center revenue in its most recent quarter, a staggering 73% increase year-over-year. This dominance has left AMD with the challenge of scaling its AI chip operations quickly enough to capture meaningful market share. Carson Group chief market strategist Ryan Dietrich pointed out that investors may be paying closer attention to AMD's data center results than to any other segment. He emphasized that the rollout of new AI products and securing more consistent high-volume customers will be critical for AMD's competitive position. This is especially relevant as hyperscalers like Microsoft, Google, and Meta dramatically increase their semiconductor spending to fuel AI infrastructure. AI spending boom offers opportunity and pressure. Tech giants are committing extraordinary sums toward AI infrastructure. Meta alone is expected to spend between $66 billion and $72 billion in capital expenditures this year, largely to meet surging demand for AI applications. Microsoft is forecast to spend around $30 billion in the current quarter on similar initiatives. Despite these enormous spending commitments, analysts have pointed out that AMD has yet to benefit from AI capex at the same scale as Nvidia. One reason is that Nvidia has established itself as the go-to supplier for AI training chips, thanks to its CUDA software ecosystem and high-performance GPUs. AMD is working to change that perception, rolling out competitive alternatives and building partnerships with major AI players. Su has positioned AMD as a viable second-source provider for companies looking to diversify their supply away from Nvidia's costly and often scarce chips. This approach has started to pay off in certain segments, as companies like OpenAI and Meta explore AMD's offerings to meet their AI infrastructure needs. MI308 export ban hampers growth. One of the more significant headwinds to AMD's second quarter performance was the impact of the US government's export restrictions on advanced AI chips to China. These restrictions were designed to limit China's access to America's cutting-edge AI technology, but they had a direct effect on AMD's sales of its MI308 chips. The export ban effectively eliminated MI308 sales to China, leading to a loss of roughly $800 million in revenue during the quarter. This also contributed to a $155 million operating loss for the June quarter. Su explained that while AI business revenue declined year over year as a result of the ban, AMD is now transitioning to its next generation of chips. The restrictions have not only impacted AMD, but also its competitors. In April 2025, Nvidia announced it would take a $5.5 billion charge in its first quarter of 2026 due to similar export control measures. Last month, there was a glimmer of good news for AMD when the US government indicated it would begin issuing export licenses to chip makers, potentially allowing AMD to resume certain sales in China. However, AMD's third quarter outlook does not include any projected revenue from MI308 chips for the Chinese market. Transition to the MI350 series. In the face of export restrictions and competitive pressure, AMD is pushing forward with new product launches aimed squarely at the AI market. The MI350 series, announced in June, is designed to compete directly with Nvidia's Blackwell chips. This lineup includes the MI350X and MI355X models, which AMD says offer up to 35 times higher inference capabilities and 4 times more AI compute performance compared to previous generations. These performance improvements are central to AMD's strategy of closing the gap with Nvidia and appealing to customers seeking high-performance alternatives. The MI350 chips are expected to see demand from hyperscale data centers, cloud service providers, and enterprise customers deploying AI at scale. The introduction of the MI350 series reflects a broader industry shift toward designing chips that can handle both AI training and inference workloads efficiently. While training large AI models remains a priority, inference, running those models in production, represents a growing share of AI compute demand, and AMD aims to capture that opportunity. The MI400 series and a bold forecast. Beyond the MI350 launch, AMD is already looking further ahead with the upcoming Instinct MI400 series, slated for release in 2026. This next generation of AI chips has already attracted interest from major industry players. Analysts and investors have committed to purchasing the MI400 GPUs once they are available, signaling strong early demand. Su described customer interest in the MI400 series as very strong and emphasized that AMD is still in the early stages of what she sees as an industry-wide AI transformation. She believes this transformation will drive a step function increase in compute demand across all markets, positioning AMD for significant revenue and earnings growth over the coming years. This forward-looking vision is not merely about competing with Nvidia on raw performance, it's also about delivering complete solutions. AMD's acquisition of ZT Systems earlier this year gives the company expanded expertise in designing rack-scale AI servers, which integrate chips, networking, and software into full-stack offerings. This move aligns with the broader AI data center market's shift toward comprehensive end-to-end solutions. The stock market's tepid reaction. Despite the bold forecast and product announcements, AMD's stock performance immediately following the earnings release reflected investor caution. The initial post-earnings rally was short-lived, and shares fell 5.8% to $164.20 in pre-market trading after the earnings call. The muted reaction can be explained in part by the stock's substantial run-up earlier in the year. Another factor influencing sentiment is the time horizon for AMD's AI strategy. While the MI350 series is set for rollout soon, the MI400 series and other transformative projects will take time to reach the market and generate significant revenue. In the short term, export restrictions, competitive pricing, and supply chain dynamics will continue to weigh on performance. Competitive dynamics in the AI chip market. AMD's battle with Nvidia is at the heart of its AI strategy. Nvidia's dominance in AI GPUs, reinforced by its software ecosystem and early mover advantage, has made it the default choice for many AI-focused companies. AMD's approach has been to target areas where customers seek more cost-effective solutions, as well as to offer high-performance chips for both training and inference. While AMD is unlikely to displace Nvidia as the market leader in the near term, its growing presence in AI discussions is a sign that the market is slowly diversifying. Partnerships with companies like OpenAI and Meta are critical steps in building credibility and securing long-term growth. Moreover, as AI workloads become more specialized, there may be opportunities for AMD to carve out niches where its architecture offers unique advantages. The launch of the MI350 and MI400 series could be key moments in this strategic evolution. Long-term AI transformation outlook. Lisa Su's remarks during the earnings call made it clear that AMD sees itself as a central player in the long-term AI transformation. She stressed that the current AI boom is still in its early stages, and that demand for compute power will only intensify as AI adoption spreads across industries. Her forecast is ambitious, and she expects this wave of AI-driven demand to result in a structural increase in the need for high-performance computing solutions, benefiting not just AMD, but the entire semiconductor sector. If this plays out as envisioned, AMD's revenue and earnings growth could accelerate meaningfully over the coming years, potentially rewarding investors who can weather the short-term volatility and competitive pressures. If you want to stay ahead of the story, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.